yours.
Okay. Okay, well, my presentation is on biometric technology, biometric security technology to be exact. Why is this not working? It's not working. No. It's Microsoft, I'm telling
It's
you.
Microsoft. Make that screen a little bigger.
There.
That work? All
Yep.
right, cool.
So, again, biometric security technology. Here's my cool animation. Oh, wow.
Nice graphic.
Yeah. So first of all, the reason why biometric technology works is because everybody's different, right? No two people are exactly alike, not even identical twins. Even though they may look very similar, they're not the same. Biometric technology can be defined as technology that identifies a person based on their physical or behavioral traits. The two types of biometrics that I'm going to talk about are standard or physical and behavioral. And standard biometrics include palm printing, fingerprinting, iris or retina scanning, facial recognition, vascular pattern matching, and hand geometry. And behavioral biometrics include signature recognition, voice recognition, and keystroke dynamics. Those are not all of them, but those are the ones that I decided to highlight. So how does it work? It's definitely a lot more complicated than this, but in a nutshell, it collects data, converts the data into a digital format, then uses an algorithm to develop a template, and then stores that data to be compared to new templates. So first we're going to talk about standard biometrics, fingerprint and palm print scanning, vascular patterning and hand geometry, and iris and retina scanning. Fingerprint and palm print scanning is basically just matching to human fingerprints or palm prints. Fingerprinting is the oldest biometric technology around. It's been used for over a century by law enforcement agencies, we all know this, to identify or track criminals. It is usually very accurate, but certain skin conditions can affect it. You could also burn your fingerprints off if you really needed to. I've heard of it before. Hand geometry is basically just using the shape of somebody's hand for identification. It was first introduced in the marketplace in the late 1980s. And it is limited to verification purposes, not necessarily identification purposes, because it's not that unique. A lot of people can have the same shaped hand. It's not highly identifiable. Wide implementation is attributed to its public acceptance, ease of use, and integration capabilities. And it can be enhanced with combining with other forms of ID such as PINs and ID cards. Vascular pattern matching is analyzing patterns of your veins on the surface of your skin that can be visible on the surface of the skin, I should say. It is still under development, considered unreliable compared to some other techniques, so it has not earned universal adoption by any of our crime labs. And it's considered effective as it does not rely on contacts and scanners and can't be affected by skin conditions, since the information needed is on the inside of the body. And Next we have iris or retina scanning, which is high accuracy recognition of a person's identity through digital image representation of a scanned eye. It is more accurate than fingerprint scanning because the probability of unlike iris or retina patterns is higher than that of fingerprints. And the distinctiveness and the stability of your eye over time, I mean, your eyeball is the same from birth to death, so. Next we'll talk about behavioral biometrics, which include keystroke dynamics, signature recognition, and voice recognition. And keystroke dynamics is basically just your typing pattern. Descriptive information on timing gives exact descriptions on when each key is pressed and released as the person is typing on a computer keyboard. And almost every computer keyboard has this raw measurement that can provide the dwell time and the flight time. Dwell time is how long you stay on each key. Flight time is how long between each key is typed, the amount of time between each key. Signature recognition measures and analyzes the physical activities related to signing. For example, the stroke order, the pressure applied, and the speed. And it's considered behavioral because it focuses on how you sign rather than the way it looks. How fast you sign, whether you cross your I's and cross your T's and dot your I's first or last or what have you. Voice recognition uses characteristics of a user's voice for their identification purposes. It uses speaker recognition and speech recognition. Speaker recognition refers to who is speaking, and speech recognition refers to what is exactly being said. And also speaker verification and identification, and speaker diarization, which recognizes when and the exact moment that a person is speaking. So here's a little timeline. I didn't include everything because it would have been really long, but in 1858, the first systematic capture of hand images for the purposes of ID with Sir William Herschel putting a handprint on the back of a contract to distinguish employees from non-employees on payday. In 1870, Alphonse Bertillon came up with anthropometries for identification of individuals. Anthropometries are just a way to measure the human body, basically. 1892, Sir Francis Galton created a fingerprint classification system. 1896, Sir Edward Henry developed a fingerprint cataloging system. In 1903, the New York State prisons began to use a fingerprint system. In 1936 was the making of the proposal to use iris identification. In the 1960s, Woodrow W. Bledsoe achieved semi-automation of face recognition under a United States government contract. In 1965, research was launched in the automated recognition of a signature. 1994 brought about the initial iris recognition algorithm that was copyrighted to Dr. John Dogman. 1996 was the first implementation of hand geometry at the Olympic Games. In 1998 was the FBI introduced the combined DNA index system that could store, search, and retrieve DNA markers. 2001 brought facial recognition to the Super Bowl in Tampa. I believe it was to catch some wanted people that were supposed to be at the Super Bowl. Also, the deployment of the first statewide automated palm print database was witnessed in the United States in Rhode Island, Connecticut, and California. And also in 2001, the National Security Agency of the U.S. used biometrics for the identification purposes of terrorists. 2011, Osama bin Laden's body was ID'd with DNA. And in 2013, Apple included fingerprint scanners into their iPhones. Concerns. Cost, particularly in the early systems, but that's kind of old. Costs have really gone down since then. It is not foolproof. Basically, DNA is the thing, I guess, that could be skewed. But as with everything, nothing's perfect. Some people think it's an invasion of privacy. Is it ethical to collect this really extremely personal information? Who knows? And could it be done without somebody's knowledge or consent? Absolutely. And could that information fall into the wrong hands? Absolutely. Present day uses. Airports use them in for scanning passengers, facial scanning, irises, and fingerprints. Some airports do. Some hospitals use biometrics in monitoring of patients, access control, identification, management of workforce, and patient record storage. Some hotels and grocery stores use it for security purposes to regulate access to rooms or stores without permission. And hand geometry readers are used at a lot of employers. I actually had to use a hand geometry system when I worked at Woodman's. And I had to put in my employee number and then scan my hand. So that's an example of integrating a PIN number with the hand geometry. And it helps reduce labor costs resulting from overpayments, which could be caused by errors related to transcription, interpretation, or malicious intent. It gives the hand geometry reader an edge over time cards, which was great. I thought it was a lot easier than a time card. So, future uses, I'm sure there's a ton more future uses than this, but these two I thought were the most interesting. I'm sure everybody knows Windows 10 is coming out in July, and Microsoft is developing a biometric authentication technology to be implemented in Windows 10. It is deemed to enable the unlocking of computers or phones with the use of facial recognition or fingerprinting. And among the features of the system are a high-end camera with infrared sensors and a fingerprint reader. And a Michigan State University professor, Anil Jain, is developing a fingerprinting method recognition system to track vaccination schedules for children and toddlers, which could save lives and increase coverage of immunization efforts. And that's it. That's all I have. Any questions? Okay.
Okay, out of all these, great presentation, by the way. Out of all the ones you researched, which one is your favorite and why? Which one are you most interested in, or interested you the most, I guess?
I guess the timeline was the coolest one.
Right.
Because just seeing where it began and,
Right.
I mean, there's way more than what I presented, but I mean, it even dates back to like 1600s Chinese.
Right.
So I thought that the history was I like history, so that's probably what I liked the most. And it was easy to find that information. So
Good job. Let's give her a hand.
thank you.
Did great.
Thank
All
you.
right. All right, so raise your hand if you're presenting Thursday. Raise your hand if you're presenting Thursday, so we have them up there. Okay, so 3 is here right now presenting Thursday. Those of you that couldn't make it Thursday for job and other reasons, you've already told me, but everybody else is required to be here. And so you'll come in, like Danielle did, give me your USB thumb drive and dump your PowerPoint.
Thank you.
And then you'll submit your presentation, research paper, not your presentation, but your research paper into that week's Dropbox. And so in week 15 and week 16 both, we have a Dropbox for the research paper presentation. Point value is 75 points for research paper, 75 points for PowerPoint, both. And so if you complete both, you will get full credit. Time is roughly about 10 minutes would be great. And that's about it. Any questions? Yes. How does that affect your grade? Well, it's a straight point value, and so I don't, there's no, I don't skew the grade any or any weighted grade, so it's 150 points off your grade. it would drop your good grade in half, letter grade, 150 points would. Like, if you had an A now, it'd probably go like a B minus or something like that. Okay? Any other questions? All right, great. We'll see everybody Thursday. We're all done. Awesome. Good job.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, enjoy the nice day. It's beautiful out.
And I'm done. Ha ha.
Yeah, yeah, done. I like that.